कृष्ण प्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्ति वेदांत स्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरये. Hare Krishna. So we begin to discuss the 14th chapter of the first canto. We are coming to the end of the first canto now. Another 4-5 chapters left. Most likely I'll be able to complete this chapter today. We will have Sonika's presentation tomorrow. Today I will complete this chapter and then maybe she'll... Sonika, you can do it tomorrow?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Are you able to hear? Did any one of you hear what she said?
Hare Krishna,
She said yes, Prabhuji.
Okay. And Pranav, if you are available day after tomorrow, then you be prepared.
Okay, Prabhuji.
And Manini, Mataji,
हरे कृष्ण प्रभु जी दंडवत प्रणाम
आप रेडी है ना? जिस दिन भी आएगा आप दे दीजिएगा.
जी प्रभु जी
ठीक है. So we see how much affection and spiritual attachment is there with the associates of Krishna in the heart of Yudhishthira Maharaj. Long list. So many verses we saw. He is specifically inquiring about so many of the associates. Right from Maharaj Ugrasen, Surasen. He is even inquiring about Nanda. He is also inquiring about Vasudev and all the associates and companions of Krishna. Either they are in Dwarika or whether they are in Mathura or even in Braja. So it seems that Yudhishthira Maharaj has very affectionate bond with all of them. Otherwise, why he will inquire? Normally what we do? We inquire only if the Guru is there, then I will go. And if I get an opportunity, I'll meet him. And then I leave. No. What this section is teaching us that we should try to develop relations, affection and intimacy with all the associates of the Lord. So Maharaj inquires, Sri Maharaj inquires about all the Yadus and the associates of Lord Krishna. That was till verse number 33. And from 34, he will glorify Lord Krishna and his influences. We did read 34, but I am again taking 34 because this is a new section. So here, Rishi Maharaj, in the last section, he was inquiring about the welfare of the various personalities. And now he will focus to glorify the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He says, Bhagavan api Govindo Brahmanyo Bhakta Vatsala Kachit Pure Sudharmaya Sukhamaste Suhidvrata. Is Lord Krishna the Supreme Personality of Godhead who gives pleasure to the cows, the senses, and the Brahmanas, and who is very affectionate towards his devotees, enjoying the pious assembly at Dwarkapuri, surrounded by friends. So this question is being asked by Maharaj Yudhishthira. Here in this particular verse, the Lord is described as Bhagavan, Govinda, Brahmanya, and Bhaktavatsala. He is Bhagavan Swayam, or the original Supreme Personality of Godhead, full with all opulences, all powers, all knowledge, all beauty, all fame, and all renunciation. No one is equal to or greater than him. What is the Sanskrit term? No one is equal to or greater than him. We've read that in Bhagavad Gita, 10th chapter. Why only one? All of you should be able to answer this. Yes, Pranab Prabhu?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Asama Uddhava.
Yeah, asam urdhava. There is no one equal to him, asama, and no one is higher to him, urdhava. That means what? Everyone is lower to him. He is Govinda because he is the pleasure of the cows and the senses. Go means the senses, and go also means the cows. Those who have purified their senses by the devotional service of the Lord can render him real service. Those who have purified their senses by devotional service of the Lord can render him real service and thereby derive transcendental pleasure out of such purified senses. In the impure condition, the living being cannot derive any pleasure from the senses. But being illusioned by false pleasures of the senses, he becomes servant of the senses. Therefore, we need the Lord protection for our own interest. The Lord is the protector of the cows and the Brahminical culture. A society devoid of cow protection and Brahminical culture is not under the direct protection of the Lord. Just as the prisoners in the jail are not under the direct protection of the king, but under the protection of the severe agents of the king. Without cow protection and cultivation of the Brahminical qualities in human society, at least for a section of the member of society, no human civilization can prosper at any length. By Brahminical culture or the development of the dormant qualities of goodness, namely truthfulness, equanimity, sense control, forbearance, simplicity, general knowledge, transcendental knowledge, and firm faith in the Vedic wisdom, one can become a Brahmana and thus see the Lord as he is. And after surpassing the Brahminical perfection, one has to become a devotee of the Lord. So that is loving affection in the form of proprietor, master, friend, son, and lover can be transcendently achieved. Prabhupada says, is loving affection in the form of proprietor, master, friend, son, and lover is okay. It is Madhurya, Vatsalya, Sakhya, and Dasya. What is loving affection in the form of proprietor? Can anyone answer? One has to become a devotee of the Lord, so that is loving affection in the form of proprietor, master, friend, son, and lover can be transcendently achieved. The stage of a devotee which attracts the transcendental affection of the Lord does not develop unless one has developed the qualities of a Brahmana, as above mentioned. The Lord is inclined to a Brahmana of quality and not of false prestige. Those who are less than a Brahmana by qualification cannot establish any relation with the Lord. Just as a fire cannot be kindled from the raw earth unless there is wood. Although there is relation between the wood and the earth, since the Lord is all perfect in himself, there could not be any questions of his welfare, and Maharaj Yudhishthira refrained from asking this question. He simply inquired about his transcendental place, Dwarkapuri, where pious men assemble. The Lord stays only at the where pious men assemble and take pleasure in glorifying the supreme truth. Maharaj Yudhishthira was anxious to know about the pious men and their pious acts in the city of Dwarka. Next two verses. Mangalaye cha lokanam, shemaye cha bhavaye cha, aste yadu kulambudbhavo, adhyonanta sakha puman, yad bahudand guptayam, swapuryam yadavarchitah, kridanti paramanandam, Mahapaurishika iva. The original personality of Godhead, the supreme enjoyer, is staying in the ocean of the Yadu dynasty with Balram, the primeval Lord Ananta, for the welfare, protection, and general progress of the entire verse. And the members of the Yadu dynasty, being protected by the arms of the Lord, are enjoying like the residents of a spiritual sky. So this is what is being highlighted. And as we have discussed many times, the personality of Godhead Vishnu resides within each and every universe in two capacities, namely as Garbhodakshaya Vishnu and Shirodakshaya Vishnu. The Shirodakshaya Vishnu has his own planet on the northern top of the universe. And there is a great ocean of milk where the Lord resides on the bed of the Ananta incarnation of Baldev. Thus, Maharaj Yudhishthir has compared the Yadu dynasty to the ocean of the milk and Sri Balram to the Ananta where Lord Krishna resides. He has compared the citizens of Devaki Dwarka to be liberated inhabitants of the Vaikuntha Loks. He has compared the citizens of Dwarka to the liberated inhabitants of the Vaikuntha Lok. Beyond the material sky, further than we can see with our eyes, and beyond the sevenfold coverings of the universe, there is the causal ocean, in which all the universes are floating like footballs. And beyond the causal ocean, there is unlimited span of spiritual sky, generally known as the effulgence of Brahman. Within the effulgence, there are innumerable spiritual planets. And they are known as the Vaikuntha planets. Each and every Vaikuntha planet is many, many times bigger than the biggest universe within the material planet. Each and every Vaikuntha planet each and every Vaikuntha planet is many, many times bigger than the biggest universe within the material world. And in each of them, there are innumerable inhabitants who look exactly like Lord Vishnu. These inhabitants are known as Mahapurushikas. Mahapurushikas, or persons directly engaged in the service of the Lord. They are happy in those planets and are without any kind of misery. And they live perpetually in full youthfulness, enjoying life in full bliss and knowledge without the fear of birth, death, old age, or disease, and without the influence of Kala, eternal time. Maharaj Yudhishthir has compared the inhabitants of Dwarka to the Mahapurushikas of Vaikuntha Loka because they are so happy with the Lord in the Bhagavad Gita that there are many references to the Vaikuntha Lokas, and they are mentioning in the Bhagavad Gita there are many references to the Vaikuntha Lokas, and they are mentioned there as Madhama, or the kingdom of the Lord. Any example? Any verse? Quote. Many references to the Vaikuntha Loka, and they are mentioned there as Madhama, or the kingdom of the God. Huh? So many verses Prabhupada is saying. Quote at least one. Why only Ramya has to answer? Manoram and Dayashil, you are studying Bhagavad Gita many, many years prior to she started. Huh? When you started studying Bhagavad Gita, bhai? Manoram? Which year?
2012.
So how many years now?
Yes, Prabhuji. 12, 13 years running.
In 13 years to study 18 chapters, it is less. You want full 18 years? Huh? And Dayashil, how about you?
Prabhuji, 11 Prabhuji, 11.
So how many years?
13 Prabhuji.
Why 13? 2024 is getting over. Includes 24 also. Should be knowing. Bhagavad Gita should be known inside out, Prabhupada says. Which is the verse? No mention of Vaikuntha Lokas in Bhagavad Gita. Prabhupada says there are many, many verses. Where are the verses? What are the verses? Pradeep, what are the verses? Bolo, speak the verse.
रोज अर्जुन वाच
Which
परम
verse?
ब्रह्म परम धाम पवित्रम परमं भावम पुरुषम शाश्वतम दिव्यम आदिदेवम अजमिगम.
Where it is mentioning that it is Vaikuntha Loka. More examples where it
हाँ,
is Vaikuntha, it is beyond this material world. So many verses. Prabhupada is saying there are so many verses in Bhagavad Gita. You have not found. Yes, there is. Or Ramya.
हरे कृष्ण प्रभु जी.
हाँ.
जानती देवव्रता देवान पितृ जानती प्रीतिव्रता मज्जाजिनो मामपि. Yes, Prabhuji.
हाँ.
हरे कृष्ण प्रभु जी.
Yes, बोलिए.
ना तद
He
भाषयते
said is
सूर्यो न
right. What you have said is
शशांको
not
न
wrong. Yeah. Krishna says, Yanti Devavata Devan Pitran Yanti Pitra Vrata and Mad Bhakta Yanti Mamapi. That my devotees will come to my planet. Okay. But still not very clear. Yes, Ramya, आप बताइए.
हरे कृष्ण प्रभु जी. ना तद भाषयते
Very
सूर्यो
good.
न शशांको न पावको यत्
यद्
गत्वा
गत्वा न
न
निवर्तन्ते
निवर्तन्ते तद्धाम परमं मम.
तद्धामं मम. Okay, very good. Yes. Others? Every chapter Krishna is speaking. So many chapters Krishna is speaking. Because there is no desire to go to Vaikuntha Lok. Where is the interest? Krishna says, Nirmana Moha. What is the verse?
चित्तसंग दोष.
Chitta dosha, adhyatma nitya vinivritta kama. Dvande vimukta sukha dukkha sange. Gachanti amudha padam avyayam tat. It goes back to the transcendental world, spiritual world. Then in the 8th chapter, there are so many verses. Vartasmatu bhavo anyo. Avyakto vyaktat sanatana. Yacha sarveshu bhuteshu nasyatsu na vinashyati. Okay, we move ahead. Maharaj Yudhishthira has compared the inhabitants of Dwarka to the Mahapurushikas of the Vaikuntha Loka because they are so happy with the Lord. In the Bhagavad Gita, there are many references to the Vaikuntha Lokas, and then they are mentioned as the Madhama of the kingdom of the Lord. Yatpada Shushushana Mukhya Karmana Satyadeo Dvasta Saharsha Yoshita Nirjitya Sankhetri Dasham Tad Ashisho Haranti Rajyarudha Vallabhochita. Simply by administering comforts at the lotus feet of the Lord, which is the most important of all services, the queens of Dwarka, headed by Satyabhama, induced the Lord to conquer the demigods. Thus the queens enjoy things which are prerogatives of the vice of the controller of Thunderbolt. So Lord is glorifying the most confidential associates, the queens of Dwarka. Satyabhama, one of the principal queens of Lord Sri Krishna at Dwarka. After killing Narkasur, Lord Krishna visited the palace of Narkasur, accompanied by Satyabhama. He also went to the Indralok with Satyabhama, and she was received by Sachi Devi, who introduced her to the mother of the demigods, Aditi. Aditi was very much pleased with Satyabhama, and she blessed her with the benediction of permanent youth as long as Lord Sri Krishna remained on the earth. Aditi also took her with her to show her special prerogatives of the demigods in the heavenly planets. When Satyabhama saw the Parijat flower, she desired to have it in her palace at Dwarka. After that, she came back to Dwarka along with her husband and expressed her willingness to have the Parijat flower at her palace. Satyabhama's palace was specially bedecked with valuable jewels, and even in the hottest season of summer, the inside of the palace remained cool, as if air conditioned. She decorated her palace with various flags, heraldings. The news of her great husband's presence there. Once, along with her husband, she met Draupadi, and she was anxious to be instructed by Draupadi in the ways and means of pleasing her husband. Draupadi was expert in this affair because she kept 5 husbands, the Pandavas, and all were very much pleased with her. On receipt of Draupadi's instruction, she was very much pleased and offered her good wishes and returned to Dwarka. She was the daughter of Satrajit. After the departure of Lord Krishna, when Arjuna visited Dwarka, all the queens, including Satyabhama and Rukmini, lamented for the Lord with great feeling. At the last stage of her life, she left for the forest to undergo severe penances. Satyabhama instigated her husband to get the Parijat flowers from the heavenly planets, and the Lord got it, even by force from the demigods, as a common husband secures things to please his wife. As already explained, the Lord had very little to do with so many wives to carry out their orders like an ordinary man. But because the queens accepted the high quality of devotional service, namely administering the Lord of all comforts, the Lord displayed the part of a faithful and complete husband. No earthly creature can expect to have things from the heavenly kingdom, especially the Parijat flowers, which are simply to be used by the demigods. But due to their becoming the Lord's faithful wives, all of them enjoyed the special prerogatives of a great wives of the denizens of heaven. In other words, since the Lord is the proprietor of everything within his creation, it is not very astonishing for the queens of Dwarika to have any rare things from the past of the universe. So this glory is that how Krishna was affectionate and how he pleased even his queens. And one of the queens is Satyabhama. Yad bahu danda abhyudaya anujivina yadhu pravira hi akuto bhayamuhu adhikara mantya angribhir arhatambala shabham sudharmam surasattamochitam. The great horses of the Yadu dynasty, being protected by the arms of Lord Sri Krishna, always remain fearless in every respect, and therefore their feet trample over the Sudharma assembly house, which is the best demigod deserved, but it was taken away from them. Purport. Those who are the directly servitors of the Lord are protected by the Lord from all fearfulness, and they also enjoy the best of things, even if they are forcibly accumulated. The Lord is equal in behavior to all living beings, but he is partial to his pure devotees. Please note it very carefully. The Lord is equal in behavior to all the living beings, but he is partial to his pure devotees, being very affectionate towards them. Very beautiful verse from the Bhagavad Gita, which confirms this. This is actually the translation of that verse. What is the verse? Very famous verse. What is the verse? दोबारा पढ़ना है? The Lord is equal in behavior to all living beings, but he is partial to his pure devotees, being very affectionate towards them. Simple. This is the most confidential knowledge. That Krishna is partial. Krishna is impartially partial. All of you should be knowing this was very, very, very popular verse. Prabhupada quotes it so many times. Yes, Deshil Prabhu.
हरे कृष्ण प्रभु जी। प्रभु जी, समोहम सर्वभूतानां नामे
सर्वभूतेषु
द्वेषास्ति नामे प्रिय
ये भजन्ति
ये भजन्ति
तो माम भक्त्या मयि च तेषु चापि हम। समोहम सर्वभूतेषु नामे द्वेषो अस्ति ना प्रिय। That is what feature? Paramatma feature. That is equal and kind and is seated in the heart of everyone. That is uniform. There is no change. But the second line does not speak about Paramatma. It speaks about Bhagavan. And he says, Ye bhajanti to mam bhaktya. But one who performs constant loving devotional service to me. Mai teshu chapi ham. He is in me and I am in him. That is the level of bond Krishna has with his devotees. So, what was the name mentioned of Krishna? Bhagavan, Govinda, and Bhaktavatsala. The feature of Krishna which is most attractive is his affection and his love for his devotees. And to please them and to serve them, he is always willing to become a servitor. The city of Dwarka was flourishing, being enriched with the best of things in the material world. The state assembly house is constructed according to the dignity of the particular state. In the heavenly planet, the state assembly house, called Sudharma, was deserving of the dignity of the best of the demigods. Such an assembly house is never meant for any state on the earthly globe, because the human beings on the earth are unable to construct it. However, for a particular state may be materially advanced, but during the time of Lord Krishna's presence on the earth, the member of the Yadu family forcibly brought the celestial assembly house to earth and placed it in Dwarka. They were able to use much force because they were certain of the indulgence and protection of the Supreme Lord Krishna. In other words, the Lord is provided with the best things in the universe by his pure devotees. Lord Krishna was provided with all kinds of comforts and facilities available within the universe by the members of the Yadu dynasty, and in return, such servitors of the Lord were protected and fearless. A very important principle. That Lord Krishna was provided with all kinds of comforts and facilities available within the universe by the members of the Yadu dynasty. That our offering should be first class. Best, we should always aspire to offer something which is really outstanding, which is a class beyond compare. A forgetful conditioned soul is fearful, but a liberated soul is never fearful. Just a small child, completely dependent on the mercy of his father, is never fearful of anyone. Fearfulness is a sort of illusion for the living being when he is in slumber, due to forgetting his eternal relation with the Lord, since the living being is never to die by his constitution, as stated in Bhagavad Gita 220, verse 220, very famous verse. माननीय माता जी बोलिए बिना देखे।
नहीं याद है प्रभु जी, सॉरी।
नहीं, दूसरा चैप्टर नहीं याद है, होना चाहिए। रविंद्र प्रभु, 2:20, वेरी फेमस वर्स, आना चाहिए ये वर्स।
तो ये
न
थोड़ा
जायते म्रियते वा कदाचिन् नायं भूत्वा भविता वा न भूयो अजो नित्यं शाश्वतोऽयं पुराणम् न हन्यते हन्यमाने शरीरे। When that was the cause of fearfulness. A person may be fearful of a tiger in a dream, but another man who is awakened by the sight sees no tiger there. The tiger is a myth for both of them, namely the person dreaming and the person awake, because actually there is no tiger. But the man, forgetful of his awakened life, is fearful, whereas the man who has not forgotten his position is not at all fearful. Thus, the members of the Yadu dynasty were fully awake in their service to the Lord, and therefore there was no tiger for them to be afraid of at any time. Even if there was a real tiger, the Lord was there to protect them. Kachitte anamayantata भ्रष्टतेजा विभासी में अलब्धा मनोवैज वग्नता किं वा तातो चिरोषिता. My brother Arjuna, please tell me whether your health is all right. So now, after questioning about the residents of Dwarika, Mathura, and even Raj, now Yudhishthir Maharaj is questioning Arjuna. My brother Arjuna, please tell me whether your health is all right. You appear to have lost your bodily luster. Is this due to others disrespecting and neglecting you because of your long stay at Dwarika? So Yudhishthir Maharaj sees the condition of Arjuna. And he asks, when we see someone who is not normal, so we ask them whether your health is okay or not. You appear to have lost your bodily luster. Is this due to others disrespecting and neglecting you because of your long stay at Dwarka? From all angles of vision, Maharaj Yudhishthira inquired from Arjuna about the welfare of Dwarka. But he concluded at last that as long as Lord Shri Krishna himself was there, nothing inauspicious could happen. But at the same time, Arjuna appeared to be bereft of his bodily luster. And thus the king inquired about his personal welfare and asked so many vital questions. I'll stop here. I will not be able to do justice. There are 5 more verses. I won't be able to cover 5 more verses. We'll have one more session. Never mind. By Krishna's mercy, 14th chapter will be over. At least we'll try to see if we can cover. Next chapter is the Pandavas retire. Dhritarashtra quits, disappearance of the Supreme Lord, and then followed by the Pandavas retire. And then Parikshit will come. 16th chapter, Maharaj Parikshit is there. 17 and 18 is punishment and reward of Kali. 17th chapter. And 18th is Parikshit cursed by a Brahmana boy. Okay, I'll stop here. Continue. One more session we'll have on this. Unless you have some questions and answers. Any question, any discussion? Yes, Sonika?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Am I audible,
Yes.
Prabhuji?
Little louder, please.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, am I audible?
That is better. Yeah.
Prabhuji, it was mentioned in verse number 36, 35, 36 in the purport. It was mentioned by Srila Prabhupada that there are many unlimited Vaikuntha's in spiritual
Yes.
spiritual space. So
Yeah.
Prabhuji, in each means like in each loka there is some residing deity or something like in Golok there is Krishna
Yeah,
himself.
there is mention. No? There is mention in the fifth canto. It is mentioned that there are so many planets. There are innumerable Vaikuntha planets. Innumerable Vaikuntha planets. And in each and every Vaikuntha planet, it is distinct. And there is a presiding deity. And according to the presiding deity, there is the presiding priest. There are innumerable Vaikuntha planets. Some discussion is there in the fifth canto. When we will come into the fifth canto, I remember from the fifth canto, I take some verses in Ramayana. So that is mentioned. So there is a mention of that there are various Vaikuntha planets. And in each planet, the personality of Godhead expands as an avatar or an expansion. And there, that incarnation or that expansion is worshipped by the residents. You want to see? One moment. Descriptions of Jambudip. This chapter, next chapter. And this chapter only. Second. Here. Prayers offered by the residents of Jambudip. Yeah. In this chapter, Shukdev Goswami describes the different varshas of Jambudip and the incarnation of the Supreme Lord worshipped in each. The predominating ruler of Bhadraswa Varsha is Bhadrashva, and he has many servants, always worship the incarnation known as Lord Hayagriva. At the end of each kalpa, when the demon Anjana steals the Vedic knowledge, Lord Hayagriva appears and preserves it. Then he delivers it to Lord Brahma. In the land known as Harivarsha, the exalted devotee Prahlad Maharaj worships Lord Narsimdev. Prahlad Maharaj is worshipping Lord Narsimdev where? Not in the material realm. The appearance of Lord, okay. Following in the footsteps of Prahlad Maharaj, the inhabitants of Harivarsha always worship Lord Narsimdev to receive from him the benediction of being engaged in his loving service. In the tract of land known as Ketumal Varsha, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Rishikesh, appears in the form of Cupid. The goddess of fortune and the demigods living there engage in his service day and night, manifesting himself in 16 parts. Lord Rishikesh is the source of all encouragement, strength, and influence. The conditioned living being has a defect of being always fearful, but simply by the mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he can rid himself of the defects of material life. Therefore, the Lord alone can be addressed as master in the tract of land known as Ramyaka Varsha. Manu and all the inhabitants worship Matsyadev. So there's so much descriptions is there. So many Vaikuntha planets are there, innumerable. Innumerable. So many incarnations of the Lord is there. So many expansions are there. There is no limit to it. Okay. The hierarchy is given in the Vaikuntha planets. That diagram is there, no? Of the big diagram of spiritual world is there. Where you can see that. You shared, na, Manoram, in your presentation, you shared that? You remember? Who shared the diagram of the spiritual world? That picture, that very famous picture is there, which classifies from, from the Varja river, then the Vaikuntha planet starts, and then there is first there is Vaikuntha planet, and then there is Saket, and then above that is Golok. So innumerable planets are there. Okay, Sonika?
Yes, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Prabhuji, I have one more doubt.
Yeah.
In 38th verse, it was mentioned that Sudharma Sabha was forcibly taken by Lord. Why so?
Why not? He deserves to have the best.
Yeah, but it can be given by demigod, means it can be gifted
Demigod? They are so attached, he refused to give the Parijat flower. Krishna has to forcibly take it from him. That is it. Na? See, that is why Krishna gives the principle, very important principle. We have not discussed it. Bhog Aishwarya Prasakta Nam Taya Aprityate. The demigods, when they approach the Supreme Lord, they don't ask for devotional service. What are they asking? Please protect us from these asuras and demons. Please restore us to our position. They are not asking that please engage us in your devotional service. Why? Because they do not have the desire. The desire is Bhog and Aishwarya. Although they are in the mode of goodness, but they are attached to sense gratification. So Vyavasaya Atmika Buddhi Samadho na Vidhiyate. Ultimately, Indra did not know Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Why did he resist? Prabhupada is talking so much in that purport about Parijat flower. You see, that entire purport is moving around Parijat flower. Why? Because Indra was stubborn. He did not want to give it as an offering even to Krishna. Okay. I'll end here. So tomorrow we'll have your presentation, and if Pranav is available next day. Pranav, what is your schedule?
Yes, Prabhuji. Next day, maybe I can present.
Okay, then you please prepare, be ready.
Okay, Prabhuji.
And then if we can have Manini Mataji also, followed by next day. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. You heard the video? I gave the short lecture clip from His Holiness Radhanath Swami Maharaj. How many of you heard? No one heard. Only Dayashin and Ramya. Others are busy. Here, here. Here it is such inspiring. This year the entire ISKCON fraternity has dedicated the Bhagavad Gita marathon book distribution for Gurudev, His Holiness Gopal Krishna Goswami Maharaj. Hare Krishna. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Shri Prabhupada ki jai, Shri Gurudev ki jai. Nitai Gaur.